Protest against immigrant deportation in LA, many Asians don't understand. Starting in the late 1970s, centered in Miami, Americans were widely exposed to cocaine. In the early 1980s, the USA economy overcame stagflation and experienced a boom, and the increased income led to higher cocaine consumption. South American drug traffickers began to earn vast amounts of money, and American society suffered from the drug problem. Authorities reached the limits of their approach of only arresting and cracking down on drug offenders within the country. Many prominent members of society, wealthy and powerful people, and their children were using drugs, and it was impossible to put them all in prison. The USA, led by the DEA, tried to crack down on drugs in Colombia and Mexico through enforcement and extradition treaties. However, while there were some successes, it can be seen as a failure in the grand scheme of things. During this time, drug lords became some of the wealthiest people in the world, and they certainly transacted in USA dollars. As a result, the economies of South America faltered. Legitimate businesses failed. Under the stigma of being narco-republics, foreign investors pulled out and sound companies collapsed. Good, ordinary people in South America had to either work for the traffickers, become traffickers themselves, or leave their countries. At that time, the USA was a prosperous country. It had fewer people willing to do low-wage, hard labor, and people from South America were ideal to hire, as they were desperate to come to the USA. The global economy is changing, the refugee problem is becoming more serious, and a dilemma is arising between the need to protect one's nation and the need to have humanitarian compassion. The issue of undocumented immigrants in the USA is serious. However, America's demand for drugs played a major role in why South America became a collection of narco-republics that are difficult to live in. South Americans who left their difficult homelands for the USA, which needed their labor, settled down and began to bring over their families to live. It was a way of life. And now the Americans who once welcomed the labor from South America are worried that there are too many of them. This is understandable. If you live thinking of it as my country, you might feel there are too many immigrants and be unwilling to grant everyone permanent residency. Therefore, the protests against deportation are understandable, and so are the people who support Trump. However, many Asians tend to empathize with Trump's position because their societies are often ethnically homogeneous or consist of well-assimilated ethnic groups. The protesters say they were greatly inspired by the impeachment in South Korea, but many Koreans think that people from Mexico are shameless. Social phenomena are the result of a complex mix of history, culture, social systems, politics, and economics. One should not judge without understanding.